Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name is Connor Williams, joined by Paul McAllister, and this is the extra time match review from the Everton Crystal Palace game, which finished 1-1. Um, First off, Paul, what are your thoughts going into the game? Do you think it was a must win?
Yes, it was a must win because Crystal Palace, other than maybe Burnley and Sheffield, Crystal Palace have been the worst team in the league form wise for at least a month. Now they've been an absolute free for all. Hodgson, has looked a dead man walking for weeks and weeks, and the I don't want to have a go at Hodgson because it's not what this video is about. And he did end up leaving the role as Crystal Palace manager, not because he was sacked officially, it's because he was ill and he stepped down because of problems related to his age. So you've got to be respectful. But Crystal Palace have just looked, like they haven't got any fight in them at all. And the type of team where you think if you can't beat them, then you've got no right you've got no right to stay in this league. So with the fact that we had the likes of Takore coming back and Onana and Gay is back up to speed now after going away for the African Cup of Nations, and Calvert-Lewin was fit to start, you'd think, okay, Everton on paper should have enough to be beating a team in their plight. And the fact that we didn't is it's infuriating. It's mind-boggling. Well, it's not mind-boggling. We'll go into the reasons why we didn't, but it's a massive 2 points dropped, and the manager and certain players who really underperformed have got to take massive criticism for that.
What are your thoughts on the lineup going into it? Do you think it was a strong lineup?
No, awful. Well, there's a couple of players who most of the team you'd put out there in the positions that they were in, but we'll just go into it. That the right side that Sean Dyche went with of Ben Godfrey at right back and Ashley Young further up as the right winger. That is for me up there with one of the worst right sides in the Premier League. If you go through all 20 clubs, of all 20 clubs, the right sides that they fielded this season, I'm sure you can't find much worse than what Everton put out. And it's up there as amongst one of the worst right sides Everton have put out under any manager for as long as I can remember. I thought the likes of Hibbert and Osborne was a bad combination, and Ben Godfrey, and I think we had who did we play on the right wing last season before Harrison came in? I'm thinking of the Man City game where we got hammered like 4-1 or something like that.
I remember. I know he stuck Garner out there for a bit, didn't he?
Garner, that was the one I was thinking of. Garner's played right there, so had to play wide a couple of times because he's tidy on the ball, but he's not necessarily a creative force as a player, is he? Which you've got to be if you're going to be supporting a striker. But that right side, if we'd had our hand forced because of injuries, then you can understand because they're both right footers. Ashley Young knows the positions. Ben Godfrey is a classically schooled, trained defender who you think, okay, against a limited side like Crystal Palace, if you put him in there for one game, maybe he'll get away with it and he'll hold his own. But the fact that we had an out-and-out right back on the bench was Nathan Patterson. Was Coleman on the bench as well? Were both of them on the bench?
I'll have a quick look now. I think
Nathan Patterson definitely was, and Jack Harrison definitely was. And I just thought that's inexcusable. I don't know what the manager's thinking of, or inexplicable. That's a better word. The manager, if he was willing to give you 5 minutes of his time and you were able to ask him, please explain to me why you decided to play Ashley Young and Ben Godfrey over the likes of Ashley Young at right back with Harrison in front of him, or Nathan Patterson with Harrison in front of him. I'm sure he can't come up with an answer that you take at all seriously. It just reeked of a manager playing favourites and being negative for the sake of being negative. And the likes of Nathan Patterson, he's got his critics, hasn't he? He divides opinion. A lot of fans don't rate him and don't think he'll ever develop into anything. And it's getting increasingly hard to argue that point because he hasn't impressed in most games he's played in. But I think if you're a young player like him, who's now 21, maybe going on 22, been here at least 2.5 years, if you can't get in the side when you're fully fit over Ben Godfrey at right back, when Ben Godfrey has proven over the last couple of years that he is a very limited, shaky centre back. If a player with Ben Godfrey's limitations is getting over you in your natural position, in his unnatural position, then I don't know what that says about you. Nathan Patterson, I think, should be having a long, hard think whether he wants to stay at Everton or not. Because if that was me and Ben Godfrey, it was going in over me, or with the track record Ben Godfrey's got, then I think that tells Nathan Patterson all he needs to know about what Sean Dyche thinks of him. So I think he needs to be banging on the door and saying, I don't think that I'm going to go anywhere at this club, really. But no, it was not a good lineup from the manager, and he has to take up all the criticism that goes his way on the chin. He gets a lot of criticism, Dyche, and I would say most of it's not fair. But there are times when it definitely is fair, and it definitely was fair last night. He deserved to be all the slagging off he got. That's why he's got. I know I'm rambling here. That's why he's got the reputation he's got. Sean Dyche as a manager who just is negative, plays 4-4-2, has no imagination, can't turn a game around. I don't agree with those points, but there are times when he definitely gives his detractors ammunition, and that was one of them. That was probably, to sum up, possibly Sean Dyche's worst performance as a manager, since he's become the Everton head coach. His individual performance as a manager for a game, that was probably right up there. It was Lampard-esque.
Well, we mentioned the game. Obviously, the first half really sloppy. They had a lot of the ball. It's not many chances when they were scruffy. Seen this a couple of times in the last. I think we're on a run of like, is it 8, 9 now without a win? I
Yeah,
noticed it a couple of times. I can't help but think we look a bit like a foosball table, just absolutely, smacking the ball forward, aimlessly. What were your thoughts on the first half? Because it was a bit of a tough watch.
yeah, it was a dog of a game. Well, I wasn't. I've seen worse performances where you just think, "Oh my God, we can't even get a kick here." Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like we were being absolutely played off the park. We were second best, and they definitely should have took the lead. I remember there was one point in the first half when I think we lost the ball in our own half cheaply. I think it might have been Godfrey or Young, one of them, and they ended up just playing a couple of 1-2s, and then they laid it. Whoever was on their right side laid it off, but I think it was Edward, the striker they had, and he was basically 10 yards out with a load of space around him, and he balloons it into the stands. And you just think a quality striker, or even a half decent striker who catches that, like buries that, shows you what a donkey he is. That he had all the time in the world, and he had a perfect layoff for him, and he couldn't even hit the target. I don't think Jordan Pickford even had to dive for it. That was how bad his shot was. They should have went up with that. I think Young clear it off the line from a corner at one point. I think I seem to remember that in the first half, because I sat in the Gladders and Crystal Palace was shooting towards the Gladders in the first half, and I remember Young scraping it off the line. So they should definitely have gone ahead. But it wasn't the type of it wasn't so bad where you think, oh my God, like it's only a matter of time here before they get a goal. I was just sitting there thinking, oh, how are we making Crystal Palace look like a competent side, considering the injuries they've got and the fact that they haven't even got a manager here. They've appointed a new one, the German, but he was up in the stands. He hadn't even had a training session yet. Probably hadn't even met probably might not have even met the players yet. Oliver Glasner was still Roy's assistant, taking the game. So it was a really poor first half performance, and the second half I thought was even worse, because we we left it too long to make the changes. What Dyche didn't make the changes at half time, which everyone could see with their own eyes. He was again just determined to play his favourites and rip his nose off to spite his face. And it was unlucky that we made the changes and then instantly they just had a shot from, I hope it was an Ayew again. He always seems
Yeah.
to score past us. It was a hit from 20 yards just outside the box. It looked like a hit and hope. And it was just, he probably won't score a better goal. I don't think I've seen Ayew score a better goal in all of his career. Uh, Pickford well beaten, and it was just frustrating because we had just made the correct substitutions to take control of the game, and then instead of chasing a goal to go ahead, we were having to chase a goal to equalise. So it was just frustration all round, really. The manager getting everything wrong, the players not knowing what they're doing, Palace getting a bit of luck that he probably deserved. And it was just rip your hair out type levels of anger.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like you said, I don't think he'll score a better goal this season, if his whole career. Um, it was just unlucky. It's not the first time either that we've seen a very, very good goal just go past, and you're like, um, the subs are like you said, far too late. But when they were made, thought we had we started to play a little bit better. Um, had a couple of chances. I think one was cleared off the line, wasn't it? Was it Johnston got a hand to it just off the line. It was a bit of a messy one.
Yeah.
I think it might have been from the corner. I'm not too sure. And then obviously Onana's goal in the 84th. Talk me through Onana's goal.
I was worried thinking that it was going to go to VAR because the goalkeeper basically just flapped at it, didn't he? Onana got up higher than anyone. And you shouldn't be thinking about VAR because it was a perfectly legitimate goal. It was just one of our players wanting it more than everyone else and getting beaten the defenders and the goalkeeper to it. But whenever the goalkeepers seem to flap at crosses and they seem to land flat on the backs, they tend to always get the benefit of the doubt. Then the referee normally blows up for a foul, and then when it goes to VAR for the officials to review it or not, it just never seems to go our way normally. So I was worried it was just going to go to VAR, and thankfully it never, because as I said, you shouldn't even be thinking that because there was nothing wrong with it at all. It was a perfectly legitimate goal. It was a great corner in by McNeil, I think it was, and it was just it was the perfect towering header. But it's just the Everton way, isn't it? Whenever we seem to do something right, it always gets taken off us by stupid officials. But yeah, a point's better than no points, but it's still 2 points dropped, and it's still not a good performance, and there's still very little positive, if anything, to take from that for me.
Yeah, it seemed like the perfect weekend as well. Sort of Luton have got it. I know Luton are winning at the time, like literally at the time of recording this against Liverpool. Whether it'll stay that way is yet to be seen. But they have like, is it Villa they play after this? And somebody else that's quite tough. I know they've got City in the
Yeah.
cup.
The next 4 or 5 games are going to be brutal for them. They played United the other night, and they were very, very unlucky. They went down early, but they showed a lot of grit, a lot of fight, and probably should have got their equaliser. United, I thought, rolled the luck a little bit, but Luton seemed to. I don't want to, be too critical because I think we do have a lot of positive character team traits under Dyche. I think we do have grit. We showed it. We do have fight. I think the players do give everything. It's just we're letting ourselves down with other things. Some of it you can control, some of it you can't. We can't help the fact that we're getting points taken off us, or the players and the managers and the fans can't. We can't help the fact that the VAR is terrible. We can't help the fact that key players are picking up little injuries that are taking them out of the team for weeks at a time. But we can't help the fact that we're getting the lineups wrong. We can't help the fact that players are not getting forward to support Calvert-Lewin. Because I want to say this about Calvert-Lewin before I forget. I thought Calvert-Lewin had his best game for Everton in quite a while there last night. I know people are going to be critical because he missed chances that he probably should have scored, but he had no support the whole night. It reminded me of the Calvert-Lewin that we used to see under Marco Silva, where he just runs his absolute knackers off and he goes up for everything. I think, didn't he win like 17, 18 aerial duels? Something crazy.
Yeah, a bit mad
Yeah.
like that.
And the amount, I lost count of the amount of times he went up, won a header, and then had to try and chase his own flick on because the wide players couldn't support him. Decore was trying. Decore plays up alongside him to try and lessen the workload, but Decore is coming back off an injury and didn't look. He looked rusty. I'll say didn't have quite a great game. It wasn't a terrible one from him, but then you've got Ashley Young on the other side, whose legs have completely gone. Shouldn't be in the Everton team, full stop for me. Never mind playing further upfield. Ashley Young ceased to be able to play right winger 6 years ago when he was at United. He wasn't. United stopped using him as a right-sided forward in 2016 under Mourinho. When Mourinho was there, they had to drop him back as a fullback if they used him at all. When he went to Inter Milan in Serie A, which is notorious for having a much slower technical pace of the game than the Premier League does. It's a lot more. Yeah, if your legs are a lot limited, are a lot more limited, then you can still play to a high level in Serie A. And he was playing for Inter Milan, Conte's title winning Inter Milan, when he had world class players around supporting him. And even then, Ashley Young wasn't trusted to play as a right-sided winger in a team that won the Italian league. So I don't know what Dyche is thinking, trying to put him on the right, unless injuries force his hand. If there's no other option there, if Young's the only right-sided player available to put out there, then you can forgive it. But that wasn't the case. But getting back on topic, Young just was completely incapable of offering anything as an attacking outlet. McNeil had his worst game in quite a long time. He had a nightmare, McNeil, to be fair to him. I'm not going to go in on him too hard because apparently he's been having problems off the pitch with his girlfriend. For anyone who's not aware, Dwight McNeil's girlfriend's got some health problems, and on her Instagram, I think it was last week, sometimes she kind of opened up about it and went into some details, and it was very, very sad and not very nice to hear about. So I can imagine that's affecting McNeil off the pitch. So yes, he was really bad and he's got to be better than that. But, you've got to take those circumstances into effect. Who knows where that lad's head's at. So, but yeah, DCL had his best game in ages, and it was just a shame that he was let down by a lot of people around him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It was like, I think it was 17, 18 aerial duels, which is absolutely insane. Out of a possible 20 as well. So he only lost two of the possible of his aerial duels he had. Um, yeah, it just I echo what you say, mate. There's a couple of players I'd like not to see again in an Everton top. One being mainly Ashley Young, especially in that midfield. I know there's that clip of the old fella going around from the farm telling him he plays well in midfield. He doesn't. He should have only ever been a bit part player. Literally someone had plugged the gap at the last possible minute. Um, when you've got Nathan Patterson on there, I, I don't know if I rate Patterson, but he's got to offer more than Ashley Young does. Or Harrison, if Harrison's fit enough to play the 45 or well the 40 when he came on, needs to be involved from the off. But yeah, I think that's all we've got time for, mate. Thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Yeah, rant over. Yeah, we're all just frustrated because it's 2 points dropped. But what can we do other than just go on to the next one?
Yeah, and I hope people drop points along the way, starting with tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't forget, guys, to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts. Look forward to reading them, and I'll see you soon.